Alan and Ben, welcome. We're very excited to have you both here today. And for Silvergate's partnership with Real Vision Crypto, welcome.
Hi, Ash. It's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's great to have you. I should say, as we get started here, Silvergate is a partner of Real Vision Crypto, and we want to thank you for helping to bring crypto content to the world free of charge. We appreciate that.
We're really happy to be a part of it, and so we enjoy the opportunity, and we are frequent consumers of the product as we watch the Real Vision crypto videos that you're all producing. It's very, very well done.
Yeah, and we'd appreciate that as well. So let's just jump in here and give a little bit of context. We were talking a little bit off camera about the history of Silvergate and how that informs your mission. Let's give folks a little bit of a background on how you got started and how you moved into this space.
Sure. So Silvergate has been actually around since the late 1980s. Silvergate started as an industrial loan company in San Diego, and for the first several years was running a pretty traditional banking strategy. I joined the company in 2008, in December of 2008, right at the height of the housing crisis. And what attracted me to Silvergate at the time was Silvergate was a very clean bank, was not struggling with credit quality problems as many other banks were during the housing crisis. So it was a clean bank, and it was also small. We only had about 300 million in assets, had about 40 employees. So I was attracted to the bank because of its size and the fact that it was clean, and I figured it would be a great platform to to build on. And because we could lend when many other banks weren't able to, we grew fairly rapidly for the first 5 years or so of my tenure at Silvergate. And we were growing on the loan side rather rapidly, and we were struggling to raise deposits to fund our loan growth. And that was really the intersection of what was then Bitcoin. This was before the Ethereum white paper. But in 2013, I was reading about how with Bitcoin, you could be your own bank. And so I was curious about that. And as I went down the rabbit hole a little bit back in 2013, I discovered that there were many businesses that were being formed businesses like Coinbase, Zappo, et cetera, that were being formed to provide services to this new Bitcoin ecosystem. And those same companies were struggling to find and maintain bank accounts. And we were looking for deposits. These companies were raising venture money, and all they wanted to do was deposit those dollars somewhere so they could build their business. And so that was kind of the aha moment that this might be an opportunity. And I will tell you, that's all the boring part of the story, because when we first got into this, it really was, I just looked at these as tech businesses. We were a business bank. And so it was really just providing basic banking services. But because we were one of the few banks at the time that were willing to talk to these companies, we became rather popular rather quickly. And I should also mention that being a regulated financial institution, we obviously take regulatory compliance very seriously. And so the way that looked for us as we were getting into this business was in early 2014, we invited our regulators into our office to explain to them how we were viewing this Bitcoin opportunity, the types of companies that were being formed, how we were thinking about banking them, and what the regulatory framework was as we understood it at the time. And that early engagement with the regulators and that ongoing engagement over the last almost 8 years now has really been foundational to all the services that we provide, because we went into this business intentionally to provide services to this ecosystem. Yeah. And what started out, as kind of a boring banking product and service has really blossomed into something that I hope we're going to have a chance to talk about, which is called the Silvergate Exchange Network, or the SEN.
Yeah. First, before we move into that, such an important point here. I think that, 2020 was the year of institutional money coming in to the digital asset cryptocurrency Bitcoin space, and understanding this framework of legal and regulatory and compliance infrastructure that major financial institutions have to maintain is something that's so critical to understanding how this space is going to mature. People who come into this perhaps from the other side of the equation, from the computer science side, from the engineering side, may not appreciate all of the nuance that exists underneath the surface on the banking and financial side.
Yeah, Ash, I think that's a great point. And just to let everybody know, there's obviously been a lot of regulatory action over the years. There's been a lot of recent pronouncements coming out of the OCC. The OCC regulates national banks in the United States. Silvergate is a state chartered bank, so we are chartered by the state of California, and we're a member of the Federal Reserve, so we have Federal Reserve oversight, and then our deposits are insured by the FDIC. So we have the alphabet soup of banking regulators. And what's really gratifying is because we've been doing this for so long, as the OCC has been issuing these pronouncements over the last year, they've essentially been validating things that we already believed to be true and that we were essentially already doing as a state chartered bank. And so it's a great point. And what I'd like to do is give Ben a chance to introduce himself a little bit here, and then we'll kind of talk about how things have evolved from those very early days.
Jump in, Ben.
Thanks, Alan and Ash. Great to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity. Just building on the point that Alan was making about the regulatory side of things, I think one of the things that people miss is that we have been doing this since 2014. And so if you think about it, we've had regulators, both from the Federal Reserve and the state of California and the FDIC on site for over 7 regulatory exams so far. And so they've been learning along the way. And so this notion that the regulators are, just starting to understand this thing, I think is a little bit, maybe incorrect in the sense that, we know that, these regulators talk to each other, and they've been doing it for 7 years now. And so, I think they have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I find it one of the things that makes this space so exciting, as we were sort of saying earlier, is that you have folks who come in from the engineering side who have this entire set of skills and view of the world. And then you have people from the financial side who also have these very unique skills. And it's an interesting space to see how they all interact and blend together. And with that, perhaps the perfect segue to talk about the SEN and some of the other products and services that you guys offer. Tell us a little bit about the needs that you identified and how you guys have addressed them.
Yeah, it's a great question and a nice segue, because as Silvergate has developed over the years, we did not previously have software engineers, project management, all of the things that we've built to support this ecosystem. And it really started really around the time Ben joined us. When Ben joined us in early 2016, the initiative at Silvergate had grown to where we probably had a couple dozen customers. We are a business bank with an institutional focus, so it's important to say at the outset a couple of things. We don't bank consumers directly, but what we're attempting to do is provide the infrastructure so that our customers are facing the consumer. So, we exchange customers that bank with Silvergate include Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, Bitstamp, et cetera. And so they are the ultimate, service provider that is providing services to the consumer, and we're the back end in this case. So we're an institutionally focused bank. And then the other thing I would say is, from a technology standpoint, is everything that we've built has been developed. It's proprietary to Silvergate. We've built our own APIs, and I'm sure Ben will talk about that in a minute. But what I wanted to just say, to kind of let ask Ben to weigh in here, is when Ben joined, as I mentioned, we had a couple dozen customers. maybe had about 50 million, 50 in deposits versus over 5 billion in deposits in this initiative now. So we had some of the best customers in the space, but it was still pretty much a basic banking service. And it was really Ben joining us, going back out to our customers and saying, how can we be more helpful? And the answers to that question is how the SEN was born, and all the other products and services that we now offer.
Yeah. So as we went out and started talking to, what we call institutional investors, it's really, traders and hedge funds and family offices, they were saying, we're spending 60% of our time just moving cash, fiat money around the globe in order to make sure that we can have the right amount of capital on the right exchange at the right time. Credit and prime brokerage certainly didn't exist back in 2016. And what we heard from the investor side of things is, hey, this is just really inefficient. We're spending so many of our resources doing that. At the same time, we were talking with our exchange clients and we said, is this a problem for you? And they're like, well, anything that you can do to get more liquidity onto our exchanges is beneficial. And then the other thing is that we're looking for scalable infrastructure. So we had a conversation with Adam White, actually, when he was at Coinbase back in 2016. And he said, if you guys create something that solves these problems, it really needs to be API enabled, because I don't want to have a whole group of financial analysts that are sitting in front of computers hitting, refresh in the online banking platform to say, oh, we've got, 5 million from this counterparty or 10 million from this counterparty. It just needs to be programmatic and work over an API. And so it was really that feedback that the SEN was born, that allows these industry participants to now move US dollars 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other, I think, aha moment was just the amount of friction that was being caused by the fact that the banking system was only open 40 hours a week and crypto trades 168 hours a week. So that sort of aha of, hey, we can enable these transactions to move on nights and weekends was really what led to the creation of the SEN back in 2017.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.